Hey, Matt here, back with another GTO Wizard trainer video. Today, instead of practicing deep, I just want to practice some c-betting. I feel like I'm a little bit rusty in the spot lately. It's not as automatic as I feel it should be. I know some people think setting different c-bet sizes and frequencies is pointless and you should just better check range. I strongly disagree, but that's a discussion for another time. So we'll start with big blind versus button, and if I have time, I'll do some big blind versus MP. And just to quickly go over the settings, I'm in learning mode, just a single spot, so we'll just be practicing the c-bet, not turns and rivers. In learning mode, and we're using 500 NL general. So the first spot here we have is ace 8 on 632 rainbow. So my first thought is that it's rainbow, so I could bet more than if it was two-toned. The fact there's a straight probably makes us want to check a little bit more. So I think a bunch of strategies could be used. I think ace 8 is going to be mostly a check, although it is a low medium ace, so you could bet it maybe sometimes. I actually switched to use low RNG as aggressive action versus high RNG. I'm not sure if I like it. It's something I've been kind of going back and forth on, but right now for this video, we'll use it as low equals aggressive. So the first thing I'm going to say is what size do I think I could use in my range, and I think we could pretty much use anything, but I think with the straight, we'll probably lean more 50 versus 75, and that it's rainbow, I think there could be some 33, but I think it's going to be mostly 50, and on this roll, I think we're going to check, so let's see what happens. So mostly check. And as you can see, it's mostly using 50 and actually some 75, more so than I would have anticipated. And also less small betting. I wonder if there is a lot of donks, actually. Can we actually see? I wish we could see big blind strategy. If I guess I can click this, though. So there's some donks. What I was going to say is that if there are donks and villain doesn't donk, then our c-bet strategy should be more aggressive than if this was just check range. But for this video, obviously, we're trying to look at a more theory approach. So yeah, I'm just slightly surprised that on the rainbow and with the straight that 75 is used as much, but yeah, I guess, you know what, just for fun, I know we're going to get off track here, but I wonder if I think that because a lot of sims that I've potentially have looked at before doesn't have a donk. So I'm going to actually run this in Pio without a donk and see if this changes the c-bet strategy, and that will actually kind of help to see if my theory with the donks is right or wrong. Okay, I have the sim here with no donks, same sizes and ranges as GTO Wizard. And as you can see, it's actually pretty similar. So it seems like the donk doesn't really change things other than getting rid of the small bet, I guess. Now some of those smaller hands have a little bit more equity, so they're allowed to bet. But it's interesting. I guess it's just a misunderstanding of the spot by me. Just out of curiosity, let's just switch the 2 with the spade, and let's just see if that makes it more smaller bets. So it's funny because usually what I've noticed is rainbow boards, you can actually use smaller bets more. In this situation, it actually doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like it needed to be a flush shot board. So that's an interesting one, a little bit long one, but I think it was worth doing. At least we got our hand right. All right, next one, here we go. I think this is going to be a high frequency small bet on this board, and I think on this 38, we're just going to mix this in here. And it seems to be right, and yeah, it seems to be right there as well. Next. Rainbow disconnected. I'm guessing small bet with most of my range, even though the 4-2 connects to the big blind. And this roll, we will bet. Interesting. It's actually check a lot more So maybe the interaction around the forward 2 actually matters more than I think, even on a rainbow board. That's pretty interesting. Let me see if we can actually... So it's interesting, I'm just looking at this equity buckets right now, and right away, it doesn't seem like out of position has that big of an advantage, but I'm wondering if we go to the draws, and the draws seem to. But see, that's weird to me, right? Because if there's a lot of draws and out of position can improve more over time, that would make it seem like we should put more money in now before that happens. But yeah, maybe that's why there's a lot more 50% betting than I would have imagined. So interesting one there. Rainbow straight again. This one I think is a little bit different though, because 8-7 off will be in out of positions range, where the other one 5-4 off won't be in out of positions range. So maybe there's not going to be nearly as much 75 as there was in the first hand, so maybe more half. And I think on the 2 we're going to bet this one. So the question is, do we want to go 75 or 50? I'm going to say with the straight, the fact they have the offsuit straights, and maybe even the offsuit 2 pair with the 6-5. I think it's going to be mainly 50, and on this row we're going to bet. And again, I was wrong. So, see, what's interesting is normally I would run my sims with 33, 75, and like 3. But I'm trying to look at more of this 50% size because it seems like a lot of people use it and it seems to be pretty common. But clearly I'm not quite understanding. So let's go to the strategy. I'm not quite understanding when it isn't used. I would have assumed that you know, a straight or some sort of 2 pairs would lead me to go more 50 than 75. But maybe that's a thing that's just versus MP and not necessarily big blind versus button. Like maybe big blind versus button, the ranges are just so wide that I still can go 75 even in these situations. So that's something definitely to consider. All right, let's go next hand. I think small bet, high frequency, 62, even though it's 62, I still think this is going to be like 80-90% bet. 70, so it's actually close, but majority range is betting. All right, next hand. So, no flush, no straight. I feel like I have a lot of hands that can overbet. As a result, I think this is going to be like an overbetter checkboard. This hand with the spade, I'm guessing, is going to be slightly more bet than not. However, we rolled 92, and, well, that means to me that we should probably check this sometimes. Probably not a high frequency, but what can we do? We rolled that number. And it's pretty close, but as you can see, mostly overbet, but some other sizes as well. I'm guessing it's because like our overpairs probably have enough equity to overbet, but then when we start going 10x, it probably gets close, and that's why it probably starts to size down a little bit there. But next hand. Same situation as last hand. Overbet or check. With the spade, more bet than not. 69, so do I want to bet this 70% of the time? Yeah, I think so. All right. High frequency, small bet. Nothing you can do there. On the 4, we're obviously going to bet. Looks right. Okay, interesting one here. I'm guessing, again, overbet or check on the 4. I think ace-queen's strong enough to do so. So let's do that. And the answer is yes. Again, some medium-sized bets. Rainbow. These low aces are usually bet all the time. or most of the time on most boards. So 18, I think it's going to be small bet with our range and this hand rolling 18. We're going to bet. Let's check more so than I thought. But you see these low aces, medium aces are the ones you check. And again, there is starting to be some 50. That was similar to the, what was that? It was the Jack 4-2 one, which is interesting. It's actually, see, I wish you can, one thing that would be nice is if I could click this and it could highlight the hands I really want to do that. So in order to do that, we're going to have to open the solution. So let's do that. If we click the 50, see, this would be nice if we actually had the same and we could use that compare EV function, and we can compare the EVs between these two sizes. That would be cool, but we can't. So I think there actually might be a way to do this though in breakdown. So if you click this, you can kind of see. So if we click this, you can kind of see what percentage of the range is represented, but it doesn't really show us exactly. To be honest, I can't really tell much of a difference. I mean, I suppose you could look on this left side. You can kind of see, like, okay, sets. Again, it's not much, but the bigger size is kind of split up throughout. But the big size, the 75 plus, is for the overpairs plus. But yeah, it'd be nice if we had that compare option. All right, that's it for this one. So this one, small bet, most range, although we're going to have more of a checking range here, I think, than on the other ones. This hand, I think, will be probably mixed, mostly betting, so if we say that and we roll the 10, we're going to bet. So yeah, seems right there. Okay, this is an interesting one. Again, I think we're going to check a bit. I think if we do bet with this hand, small would be preferred. The question is, because it's two-tone, could we actually start sizing up with some hands? For example, like ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, pocket sevens, pocket nines, even the two pair. Versus on a rainbow board. I think it's plausible. With this hand, though, I don't think would want to bet bigger, so I think would prefer, if it's going to bet, use the smaller size. And on the 4 it does, so let's do that. But I'm really curious to see the solution. So it actually doesn't bet nearly as much, but we did pick the right size. So you can kind of see it's kind of starting to use a little bit of the bigger size, but it still is majority small. I guess it still just wants to bet, 9x and slightly these ones, and those ones just don't have the equity to bet bigger. So okay, interesting. Tough board here with lots of draws. My guess would be medium bet and check. I don't really see a reason to ever bet small. This hand, we don't have much going for us, do we? So I'm going to guess it's going to be majority check. So on the 50, we'll check. And yeah, majority check. And it looks as if, yeah, the bigger sizes. Cool. So it's actually kind of close to the last hand in a way, with lots of draws. Not really any two pairs, so potentially maybe overbets or 75, but let's say overbet with the spade on the 85. I'm going to overbet this. So it looks like not so much overbetting as the last one. Why do we think that is? What's the difference? It looks like... Well, let me dive a little bit deeper. Okay, so on this one, I have the one from last. This one, I have this one. So you see the top pairs here don't seem to like to overbet. There's these ones that kind of does. It seems like just overall we have less overbetting. So why do we think that is? Well, I think the answer is, even though this Queen 8-6 board looks like there's a lot of draws, I'm actually thinking that there's more on this board. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So in this situation, gut shots plus this one. It's actually sort of even. Okay. Top end of the range doesn't seem that much different either. So I'm not really sure here. If anybody has any ideas, I'd appreciate it down below in the comments. But yeah, I can't really seem to figure out the difference between the two. They both seem to be very similar. Maybe it has something weird to do with like the top two being suited versus this one's the top and bottom. Again, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to throw certain ideas out there. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Monotone board, usually small. This one I could see just mixing in there every now and then on the 34 seems good enough, and turns out that it's not. So I guess I just have to be careful. I thought with the extra equity with the straight draw, this could be mixed in there, but I guess not. I find the situation is tough where you have kind of like a pair plus draw, which obviously plays fine in the checking range because it almost can always call turns. But sometimes it likes to bet just because it does actually have that added equity. But here just doesn't seem to be the case, I guess, because it's monotone. If we took this board and made it non-monotone, maybe we would bet more. It's tough to say. But yeah, next one. Rainbow, lots of high cards, bet small, high frequency. Twos seems to fit in there. Barely. And also starting to use the bigger sizes. You know, I was kind of thinking that because usually when I think about, do I want to have bigger sizes? My first thought is, do I want to have a lot of checks? And if the answer is yes, then potentially that could be a big size. You can kind of see the checking range here. And I was thinking, like, does 10s and 9s really want to bet? Like, does that accomplish anything? Or even these ones, probably not, because there's a lot of gutters and stuff that are going to for sure call versus a small bet. So it actually makes sense why this is a big one, even though it's rainbow. Yeah. Okay. Do a couple more. and we'll wrap it up. This one, check, peer. I guess on the 2, we'll just mix this in. It's going to be small. Yeah. Peer check. This is a tough board. This one's different than this King Jack 8 simply because... Oh, shoot. How did I get back to that? Oh, no. Oh, no. See, I wish I could click that and then go back to the one that I had. Anyways, let me actually pause the video and see what that board was and see if I can pull it up. The reason why I think it's an interesting board is because it's similar. It's rainbow with top cards. However, there's a straight on board, so I wonder if that changes anything. So yeah, let me try and pull it up. Okay, this one still actually has a lot of small betting versus the other one. These hands still checking, but these ones that were checking the other one obviously have they're either a made hand or the 10 specifically has more equity. Yeah, I wish I could have like got that hand back, but oh well. It's interesting to see the differences. Okay, this one I think is over better check. Didn't we just actually do a Queen 10-4 earlier? Right there, Queen 10-4. Interesting. So we know it's probably over better check. 55 seems like an overbet to me. Okay. Okay, interesting board. No straights. I don't see a lot of value in betting any 9s and 6s for protection or thin value, so I'm guessing it's going to be over better check. Question is, what do we do with this hand with no spade? I'm guessing mostly check, so 64. Yeah, it seems right. I was going to say this hand, maybe like 90% check. Okay. Yeah, seems good. And it does mix in some of that 75. See, okay, I think we'll end on this. Let's see if we can try and dive a little bit deeper into this hand. Like, why is it half 75, half 125, similar to the other one? What is the difference? And what hands are building its range around those sizes? So I guess we can go to this and let's see. So just by the looks of it, it looks like top pair still wants to bet, but it prefers. Well, I can't say it prefers the size. We don't actually know. Oh, but what I was going to say is, potentially these top pairs or over pairs still want to bet, but overbetting is too much. So that's why we have to have some sort of 75. Again, if we wanted to simplify ourselves to one size and check, probably anyone doesn't matter. You'd have to run each size individually and see which size actually has the highest range EV. That's where it would be nice to have that compare EV option and see if we can see what types of hands are sort of preferring different sizes. But yeah, I can't really seem to make it out. Let's try to do it this way. So the first thing that pops out to me is the top pair. So when I go this, there's like not that much top pair, and then this one, boom, it starts to add the top pair and the 2 pair. But it's mostly just adding more top pair. So it seems like that's why. It's hard to kind of think in game about that, though. But yeah, I think we'll end on that. So there's a few interesting spots for sure. Curious if anyone in the comments below has some ideas about why the strategies are the way that they are. And let me know if you enjoyed this format or if you want me to go back to training some deep spots. Since, as I said before, that's an area of the game that I feel is very understudied and there's not a lot of content made about it. But yeah, until next time, good luck at the tables.